Welcome to this episode of the Founders Fireside Podcast. Today is episode 15 with a special guest, Brie Dillman, founder and CEO of Elevate Ed. Brie, welcome to the show.
Hi, thanks for having me. Glad to be here.
Of course. So first off, for the people that don't know, what is Elevate Ed?
Yeah, Elevate Ed is a platform that helps high school students with dual credits that they've taken in high school, help them transfer and plan for how they're gonna transfer their credits to college.
Okay, awesome. Why'd you start it?
Well, I was in an early college program when I was in high school, earned a whole lot of credits, my associate's degree, and had a really hard time when I started to plan how those credits would transfer to college options. I mean, you're a junior or a senior and you're considering some in-state, some out-of-state schools. Every school has different policies for what kinds of classes that they'll accept and which ones actually go towards the degree that you want, whether that's gen ed or elective, or if they'll just outright deny them. And Elevate Ed started back in February of my freshman year when I was planning for the next 4 years of college. I was trying to graduate early, in 3 years if I could, and figuring out that all the work that I'd done in high school actually wasn't going to pay off like I thought it would. And I just wish that was something that I knew sooner. So that was like, I experienced that pain point firsthand. And it really just started to come out the more that I talked about it. IU Innovates, a program here in Bloomington, is building their presence in Indianapolis. So I was able to have a community of people to talk about our struggles with entrepreneurship, with business and things. And the idea just kind of came out there, not as something that I wanted to pursue as a company, but just something I was talking about. And it kind of just took off from there. I worked a little bit on it each week, and it's turned into something I'm really passionate about, actually.
Okay, awesome. So you're helping people find out where their credits transfer and also how much money they'll save by doing that.
Yeah.
So how do you get all that information in one place so that people can figure that out?
Yeah, so most of this information that we're using is already available on the internet. It's just in a lot of different places. For example, like you want to go to Indiana University Bloomington, sometimes you have to go to their website, you have to go through their course transfer system, you have to talk to a guidance counselor, you have to talk to your counselor in high school, you have to talk in admissions, and then you have to go to a bunch of different websites from the community college that you got your credits from. Like there are dozens of different places that you have to look and hours that you have to spend on research. And so essentially you can scrape a lot of this data and bring it all onto one platform, but then there's also that manual aspect where we have to go in and make sure everything is up to date. We have to make sure that we are on the list of people to talk to when something changes. Fortunately for us in the state of Indiana, we're very fortunate that dual credit legislation is huge. Indiana is a hot spot for support for dual credit at the legislation, state legislation level. And so that means that there are a lot of statewide initiatives to help push this forward, which means that a lot of other people are already doing those audits of data to make sure it's up to date. So it's just a matter of trying to form those partnerships and getting our name on the list. Hey, can we be one of these people that finds out when this information gets updated?
Yeah.
So.
Okay. So you graduated with an associate's degree.
From high school, yeah.
That's impressive. And when you were going to find out where the credits transferred and how many of them would transfer, how long did that process take without a service like Elevate Ed?
Let's see, I probably started thinking about it summer before my junior year, once I started doing college visits and things. So I mean, it was kind of an off and on thing. You go and talk to your teachers at school, or you start talking to friends who've already graduated. What luck did you have? You start doing research on your own. I mean, there were some nights where I was sitting down at a computer for 3, 4, 5 hours. Right, and I did that so many times, even up until the winter of my senior year. because I didn't actually commit to college until like winter, maybe January, February of my senior year of high school. So it was like off and on, probably at least once a week, spending at least an hour of some form trying to research how everything would work. Because like, especially when you're trying to figure out what you want to do for the next 4 years, I didn't know I wanted to go into finance at IU Indianapolis in the Kelley School of Business. I didn't know that's what I wanted to do. So it's like, even if you knew exactly what you wanted to do, you're still having to take probably like 10, 12, 15 hours maybe, like, you know, spread out, of course, over a couple of months, but like that's just for that one option. If you're considering like multiple different career paths, majors, in-state, out-of-state schools, there's just so much information that you have to take in and keep informed of before you make a decision. I'm notoriously an over planner, and I just wanted to have all the information before I made a decision. And so I'm sure that somebody else could have taken less time than I did, but like one of my missions for Elevate Ed was that this was going to help the top 2-3%, the overly ambitious, the planners, the people who are anxious about their futures. Like, this tool started as something for people like me, for them. And then it's sort of grown into like, okay, well, instead of just reaching that top 2-3%, can we start reaching the 5%? The people who still care, right, about how their credits transfer, but can we get them to care more? Can we start reaching the top, 15% of kids, the ones who kind of take a back seat on planning for their futures because it's too overwhelming? So they just go, all right, I'm like, I'll just take it as it is. Can we make people actually want to plan for their futures? Can we give them the tools that they feel empowered and confident that they just made a great decision for how they're going to spend the next 4 years of their life? Can we start serving first-generation college students who don't have a family, who maybe don't have family support or people who've gone through that experience before? Can a tool like this actually empower them to feel familiar with the process and like actually save them time and money, teach them that college is an option for them if they want it to be? So just a lot of hours of research and trying to condense it onto a single platform, make things as easy as possible for students, so then it's not, the choice doesn't seem so overwhelming anymore. It's something you can feel confident in.
Right. Okay, so you're saving people a lot of time, and it makes sense that you can help a greater percentage of people by making this information more accessible.
Mm-hmm.
Because the overachievers might spend 12, 15 hours doing the research for it, but a lower percentage of people will do that unless it's way easier and you can do it all in one place.
Exactly.
So what's been the hardest part about building Elevate?
I think the hardest part for us has been integrating the degree mapping and actually forming those partnerships with universities. We have a lot of partnerships that are in the works right now, but like, think about, you don't necessarily get access to like the internal course scheduling systems until you're an admitted student, until you're admitted into IU Bloomington and you get your IU email, right? So, or maybe you have to be committed to get that, right? And so then you get access to their internal class scheduling systems. It's not necessarily that information is proprietary, it's just internal, right? So it brings the question, like, can it be more readily available, right? Is them being willing to be compliant with Elevate Ed giving some of their course scheduling data, and then they can be sponsored on our platform? Like, hey, Indiana University Bloomington is a really great school for dual credit transfers, so a lot of your credits will go here as like a promotional thing. So then universities are still seeing a benefit from giving this information and making it more accessible, right? There's just a lot of things that you cannot find out until you're actually at the school. For instance, me, like, they accepted all 67 of my dual credits at my college, but only 21 of them actually helped me to graduate sooner from my Kelley School of Business degree. And that's totally fine, because degree programs have standards. They they want you to take more business classes than say, I had a bunch of history and like 4 college English classes. Like, you don't need that as a finance major. So it makes sense that it wouldn't go towards my degree, but it's just something that you want to know ahead of time. And so I think the biggest challenge for us has been trying to form those partnerships and actually have the universities realize the value that they get from working and being compliant with a program like this. That there is a direct benefit for them by saying, we have great transfer policies here, we're being very transparent with this, here's everything about us, right? Mm-hmm. Because it's like, even let's say they're not, a college is not a great transfer friendly school, okay, for your dual credits. At least if let's say they put out there, we're gonna say we're gonna take probably 70% of your credits, but somebody's debating 2 or 3 different schools, and then the other 2 have maybe 60% or 50%, like only gonna take half of them. Okay, well, going to the school that even just takes 70% because they're transparent about it, like, that's still, like, even if that student graduates in 3 years, graduates early, that's still 3 years worth of tuition they wouldn't have had otherwise, right? So it's like, yeah, maybe dual credits don't get a university the full 4 years of tuition, but you're still getting a student that you wouldn't have otherwise because you have a student who cares about transferring their credits, saving time, saving money. And typically, those kinds of students who are planners and thinking like that, they are the ones that are involved in college. They're the ones that go out of their way to make things happen and make the most of their college experience. It's just a similar type of student, right? So it's like, yeah, they might graduate early, but you're getting someone who's gonna make the most of college because they're already thinking about it ahead of time. And that's something that ultimately we want Elevate Ed to do, is to not only prepare students for getting into college, but also to help them succeed once they get there. Because that planning thing, it's not just about feeling good, it's about like critical thinking. You have to take into account a lot of different factors to make a really informed decision. And so that ability to think critically with a lot of different options, that helps you in college. And I think it makes you more involved and more aware of opportunity cost in general. You're going to use your time wisely. You're going to do better, put your energy into the things that matter to you most. And so I think that universities being able to realize that their help actually benefits them in the long run. It's kind of a hard sell right now. It's probably our biggest challenge.
Yeah. So have you noticed a lot of pushbacks from schools that don't want to make that information public? And like, what's their objections to it?
I think that we haven't necessarily heard outright no's is the thing. Mm-hmm. A lot of this has to be like, when you have that first conversation with someone, no matter what you're selling, like, you never want to actually sell to them on the first conversation. Your goal, like, when you go to someone, has to be like, I'm seeing this problem, I'm trying to find a solution, I want to see maybe where we can connect and partner through this. I just want to learn from you, right? So it's like, I'm still pretty early on in my journey, so I haven't been able to have those third, fourth, fifth wave conversations. We're kind of just in like the first couple conversations right now with like each partner that we've tried to talk to. But I think the worry is being that like there are a lot of people that have to support this kind of decision because it does affect the entire university. And so it's like with any big organization, if they're going to put their name on something, if they're going to say, yes, this is backed by Purdue, this is backed by Ball State, this is backed by Indiana University, like that's a big deal. It has to go through a lot of decision-making things. So you have to really drive like that value almost.
Yeah.
So it's like, we're just not there yet, I think, to be able to hear, like, we're not there to be able to hear outright yeses or nos, if that makes sense. And we're still early on, so it wouldn't make sense to get a yes or a no, right? Like, everything is always a maybe until you can bring me like a great solid product. You can discount every one of my worries and things, and you can like actually sell to me. So it's like right now it's just like, I want to make you aware of what we're doing. What information can we give you, basically?
Yeah.
I think the harder part, other than like universities, is high schools, because we're not selling directly to universities. We're just trying to partner with them to help get updated data for our platforms, right? To make everything more accurate. But we're wanting to sell to high schools as a service that they provide for their students. So with that, like in the ed tech space, like it's really hard because schools have really long sales cycles, and they have very limited funding, and like right now budget cuts are very real, like for everyone across the country, like schools everywhere. So it's like trying to sell a service B2B right now in ed tech is kind of crazy. So we have to kind of work around that, because like this is a platform that students need, and it's like schools want to support their students, but it's like they should care, right? And they do care, but it's like, are they going to spend the money on something that's not absolutely vital? Because then it begs the question, well, we've been doing fine so far, like we've been getting by just fine, right? Like, why do we actually need something like this?
Right.
So it's like, it's kind of tough right now.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
Once you get schools to sign up, what's your game plan to get customers?
How do you mean?
Like users of it. What's your game plan to get students to use your platform?
I think it's going to look very individualized depending on the school, because some schools have well-developed early college programs, right? Like things already in existence, like Center Grove, Perry Meridian, other schools across the state have really good early college programs already set up to where you can get an associate's degree. They have specific tracks, specific teachers, things like that. There are other schools that offer dual credit classes, but there's not necessarily an early college program, right? Like, so you can put a dual credit class on your schedule and you can like earn some credit and things, but you're probably not going to achieve a specific like college degree, or it's kind of like a one-off class. So with that question, it's kind of hard to answer, because it just depends on the school and where they're at. We see Elevate Ed working really well in some of the smaller schools, because the state of Indiana has passed some legislation recently that's really promoting dual credit programs in schools. And there's a thing called the Indiana College Core. It's a block of 30 dual credits that is transferable to any public institution in the state. And private schools, like Butler or other things, they can opt into that.
Yeah.
So they can say, I want to keep up with IU, Purdue, like I'm going to opt into this, and we're going to accept that block of 30 credits. So it's the ICC. Well, Indiana legislation just passed that like by the 26-27 school year, like hundreds of more high schools in the state are going to have to have that program offered at their school. So like by that school year, they have the option to appeal it, if they say this is not going to work for us, whatever. But there are a lot more high schools that are going to be offering something like this for the very first time. So they have teachers that are in relatively unfamiliar territory. They don't have a lot of like student alumni that can offer advice. The guidance counselors are figuring it all out for the first time. So those smaller schools that are just newly developing we're really hoping that they can make the most use of Elevate Ed in its early stages. And then you start to get to some of those bigger schools, like Carmel, Fishers, Center Grove, Ben Davis, like just those bigger schools. Those are a lot harder to get a program to. Something like this, just because they already have somewhat systems in place to help mitigate this. They've had these programs for like years now, and so it's harder to say that we're going to help you when you're down, because they've already kind of started to figure things out, like just based on a track record of having a bunch of students go through what transfers, what doesn't. Like they know from experience what's going on. So it's like, it's hard to say. It depends on the school.
Yeah. You could get the information about credits transferring from them too.
Yeah.
But up until you answer that question, I thought that you were selling directly to students, and then it wouldn't be like selling to a whole school. But it makes a lot more sense going to a whole school, because if you sell to one school, you can get 1,000 students to use it.
Yeah.
But it's also harder to get money from a school.
Yes.
So what does the revenue model look like?
What we're thinking for selling to schools is doing annual contracts. So you pay for the service for the school year, maybe discounts if you decide to go for like a 3-year period, right? A 3-year contract. But then you're charging per the number of users, right? So if maybe you don't want the entire school to have access to this product, because maybe it's expensive, right? So then you say, okay, we only want our early college kids to use this, or only our kids who are enrolled in dual credit classes are going to use this, or only a certain department is going to use this to test it out, right? So whatever it is. So annual contract, charge per the number of users, or we can just have like different blocks, and then like a tiered pricing structure based on the types of features that you want. So for instance, Elevate Ed, like eventually we'll have those degree mapping capabilities, not just like what courses transfer, but actually how do those courses apply to your degree. Maybe a school that's just starting out with a program doesn't need all the features, right? Like maybe they don't need it, maybe they can't afford it, whatever. So they just have a basic model. It's cheaper, right? So you can like kind of pick your battles there, and that way it's flexible within budgets and what the school actually needs. And then if they sign up for, let's say, a 2 or 3 year contract, get a discounted price per year, it's adjustable based on like, hey, we did the premium, we kind of want to cut back on some features. Great, that's fine. Like you're still on contract, like we can work with you. That's kind of the hope, is that like they see that we're willing to work with them and be flexible with the process. Problem is, like, again, selling to schools is hard. So our game plan right now is going B2C and having just right now as many testers as possible for free, getting feedback, getting metrics, success stories, people who found it really helpful. And then like phase 2, having a freemium model. So then having an option where people can pay if they want to, right?
Yeah.
Just individual consumers. So then you're probably looking at not students paying, you're probably looking at parents paying, right? Like honestly, like this tool would have saved me a lot of time, but I'm cheap, right? Like I probably would not have bought something like this. But a parent who's paying for your early college classes, I mean, I didn't pay for my early college classes, my parents did, right? So maybe a parent who sees their kid struggling, wants to help, but they don't actually know what's going on, like maybe that's something that they can go, oh, hey, like what if I got this for you? Like, would it help? Like, I can totally see parents not really wanting to get in the weeds with all of it, because at the end of the day, they're not the ones making the decision either. So the idea is that parents would like pay for this like for their students, and it's at like a cheap rate a month or something like that, or you pay for, you get this for a year or something like that. Like it's all that's kind of still up in the air right now as we're figuring out what we want to do. But the goal is to then take whatever free users or paid users or whatever, gather a whole bunch of metrics, and then basically present it as a portfolio to schools and going, here's everything that we've accomplished, here's everything that we've done, this is how this is going to benefit your students directly, this is how it's going to save you money, you time, you effort. Your guidance counselors now won't have a bazillion people coming to ask you questions about what works for me, is this okay for me? Like, guidance counselors just don't have the bandwidth to go through each student personally, especially those bigger schools, right? So it's presenting that value proposition from B2C. That's kind of like we're hoping that's going to have our foot in the door. It's like, yeah, it's a risk, yeah, it's not a guarantee, but we think it's our best strategy right now.
Okay.
So.
All right, that's interesting.
Yeah.
So what I want to dive into next is something that you said during your presentation at the mill. You mentioned eventually turning it into a CRM. Mm-hmm. What exactly do you mean by that?
So, for example, at Indiana University, if you're an IU student, then you have your login, and they have a platform called one.iu, and basically it is a marketplace for any application that you might possibly need, whether that's, hey, I want to view my financial aid, I want to apply to scholarships, I want to pay my bursar bill, I want to get in contact with the technology services, I want to update my email, I need to add a third-party user so my parents can see my stuff, or like whatever it is. 1.iu has both internal applications and like applications for students. So like all the applications for staff, for example, are on there, and like once you click on them, like you would have to input the correct login or credentials or things to have access to it, but everything essentially is on there for whoever needs it. It's just like a singular place for applications. And so our idea with Elevate Ed is that like once we develop the actual platform, like the main thing is maintaining those partnerships and relationships and just maintenance of data, but like the actual platform itself is not going to require a lot of upkeep. And so we're like, how scalable is Elevate Ed? Like you have the option to take this from just Indiana schools to like schools across the country, right? But we foresee a lot of roadblocks and really long cycles because like we're close to Indiana. There's a lot of easy ways to get partnerships, but everything becomes really slow once you're somebody from out of state who they don't know and you're just trying to like sell to them, right?
Yeah.
So the CRM that we're planning to go with is, like I said, a lot similar to 1.iu, but for high schools, like you go on, you search up, the high school you went to, and you get a website, and there's a lot of different links everywhere, right? Like you have different tabs, and you might click on a student tab, academic thing, you have a link to, like we use Skyward for our gradebook, or like to Canvas, or different things like that. And so there's just links everywhere on a lot of different high school websites. There's nothing really like sophisticated, and part of that reason is because a lot of it is for parents, right? Like it makes sense to have a marketplace for apps for college students because you have to go everywhere and you have to pay attention to your stuff because you're an adult now, right? But what's hard about these high school websites is that like you don't see a lot of the like internal things for staff, for teachers, for administration. The parents have all of like the student things, and students can't see like everything else that's going on. Like there's a big disconnect between what the parents need, what the students need, and what like administration needs. And so basically the CRM's goal is to like upgrade everything so it's all in one place. So like if you need anything, you can go in there, search for it, and easily find it. What's a little bit hard about the CRM is that like it's just improving what they have and making it more organized. So how we would try and sell the CRM is we would try and offer it like, we'd try and sell it to a school, right? And then we would offer Elevate Ed as an application, like a product that they can buy, just like the normal pricing structure like earlier, as something that they can put onto there. So then like they can have all of we can make applications for them that they can like put onto there, or they can just upload things that they already have, right? But that could be like some sort of like consultation service that we could have with them. Is like, okay, we can coordinate with your tech department if they can upload everything you already have into that format, or we can work with you to help you do that. So we can upload your Canvas applications, your how do parents pay their students' bill applications, how do I upload lunch money applications. Like we can do that, or you can do that, or like, so there's a lot of different possibilities for like revenue stream there. But then at the end of the day, you have a platform where we, as Elevate Ed, we can now develop a product suite of applications. So we're not only limited to dual credit transfers, because at some point we're going to have all the information, right? And it's just keeping it manually updated. At some point there is a peak for how far Elevate Ed can go. In this sense, by selling a CRM, like there's a lot bigger of a scalable market for that.
Oh, yeah.
And there's a lot more possibilities that we can expand our company, because then we can develop new applications. So like we could say, okay, well, we have Elevate Ed as a course tracking, planning thing for students. All right, well, maybe we can create an application that is an admin facing dashboard where they can, like guidance counselors and things can log in and they can see like students' progress, or we can develop an internal class scheduling system for high schoolers. I don't know how you scheduled your classes in high school, but I got a piece of paper. And the counselor had, pre-formatted it, whatever, and she made separate ones for freshman, sophomore, junior, senior, and for early college, right? And on there it said all of the options that you could take, and then 2-3 spots for electives. Then you could flip over the paper, and there was a list of all the different electives you could take. Can we digitize that? Right? Does it have to be a piece of paper?
No.
Can we make a system where students can log on their on their own time, just making everything more efficient, right, and more accessible for everybody to see. So it's we could make an application for that. We could make a separate application for deadlines for FAFSA, for high school students who are now having to apply for college federal aid, right? There are just a lot of different possibilities of applications that we can do that are under the realm of improving efficiency and communication and education as a whole. And then we're not limited to just dual credit transfers. We can then expand to improving education systems as a company and develop a product suite of different applications. And then it's if you purchase the CRM, you can now choose if you want any of our individual applications, or you can just choose to buy those specific products, right? Then there's a lot more options. And then now we're a company that offers multiple services.
Yeah.
And we can now have a bigger team and different things like that. Multiple avenues for growth, for revenue, for scalability. It really opens up a lot of doors for us.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the whole idea.
Yeah, okay. When you said that during your presentation yesterday, I was like, that's a brilliant way to grow. But have you noticed, to your knowledge, any other companies doing a similar thing?
Honestly, we know that there are other people that do something similar. We just don't know right now what that looks like in high schools. We know that 1.IU was created internally, built for IU, and I'm sure that there are other companies out there who are making CRMs for different organizations. This idea honestly was something that happened a couple of days before our demo day, our pitch day. It was something that we talked about back and forth, but haven't had time to do a lot of research on. It's just an idea that we're really excited about and willing to research, put more effort into. So short answer, I don't really know right now. I'm sure there is, right?
Yeah.
But it's it doesn't matter if there's somebody else already doing it. Because even if they offer the exact same service, there is something that's going to differentiate you. And it could literally be the marketing. Think of how many different, you go to a grocery store, think about how many things you see there that are so similar and probably nearly the exact same recipe or whatever, but it's literally the branding, the packaging, the marketing that changes everything, their presence. So it's it doesn't really matter if it's the exact same thing. It matters who you are, if people trust you as an entrepreneur, as a founder, your ability to communicate, your values, how you sell, and the value that you do provide. So to me, it's at the end of the day, I want to hold on to this student status, as a college kid, as long as possible, because people honestly, for the most part, trust you, or they want to help you, or they want to see you do well, succeed, learn more. And so it's we're trying to, even if this CRM thing totally fails, that's okay, because now while I'm in college is the time to do that, when I have a lot less risk and a lot more trust from other people.
Yeah.
So it's what do we have to lose but to try something like this?
Okay. When are you going to graduate?
Trying to graduate in 3 years, so 2027. Just finished my freshman year, but it was because I came in with dual credits. It was my sophomore level classes. Still up for debate on whether or not I'll still try and graduate in 3 years. I had to really pack my schedule because I only had 21 of those credits to help me graduate sooner. So from now, I'll be starting my junior year technically. So from now until I'm supposed to graduate, I have to take at least 18 credits.
Okay.
every semester.
Oh, wow.
So it's
Okay.
like I'll get through my junior year, I'll take I-Core, the big junior year project here at Kelly, but I'm debating on whether or not my senior year I'll stretch those classes into 3 semesters or not.
Yeah. Okay. So where would you like Elevate Ed to be by the time you graduate?
By the time I graduate, we would love to have, let's see, that's so 2 years. We're hoping that by the time that I graduate, we would like to have at least 5 contracts with schools, with high schools for Elevate Ed, and Elevate Ed specifically, and then partnerships or things in motion to happen for like the CRM, or we are working on other applications, right? So it's like we would like to be mostly done with like all of the data, the platform put together with Elevate Ed, and be like working on pushing that out, selling it, trying to actually selling it this time, trying to get it to people, while in the background we're working on the CRM. So we would like to be able to have a product that is already under contract and having schools paying for it annually, and then having like a side revenue stream of like, can we get more B2C people paying for this? I think that's our biggest goal right now, is to actually like taking this like big idea that takes a long time and actually getting concrete yeses, at least 5 of them by the time that I graduate, because then it proves like it begs the question, like, can I take this full time? Like, I'm in startup summer right now, and there was probably like maybe at least 8 founders who were taking their startup full time. Like that's crazy, but it's awesome, right? And it's like, if you want to do something crazy like that, now is the time. Like right when you graduate college, before you have a lot of responsibilities, it's like now would be the time. So we want to get as much traction as possible so we can see if that's even an option, right? Yeah,
that's the goal.
Yeah.
I like that. Okay, now is that time for the podcast where the last guest asks the next guest a question.
All right.
So we got a question from Andrew Capper. He asks, who would you like to bring on to the team that would take it to the next level? What qualities and skills would you look for in someone that can really bring Elevate Ed up?
That's a great question. So just recently, I brought on somebody who's working on the team with me right now as a technical co-founder. We're still trying to figure out in these next 2 months if it's gonna like work out for us. It's kind of like a trial period, but he has already helped immensely, and like he was the one who suggested the CRM, right? So he's visionary as well. We can interact as business partners, but also he's helping, like he's doing the tech development with us right now. That's just not my area of expertise. So I think that we, in the next maybe year, we would like to have somebody with sales or marketing that can help out, because like that's kind of my self-assigned job at this point, is like now that I brought on my new co-founder, like since he's doing the tech stuff, I'm now doing like marketing, sales, outreach, partnerships, calls, things like that. And we would like someone to help with like I don't have a lot of experience in like graphic design or marketing or pushing things out, and so I would like someone to either handle those kinds of things, or to also be able to like have a hand in doing outreach calls and sales and things like that. I think just having more than one person would really be able to take us to the next level. It's like everything is slower when you have to do things that you're not good at.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Okay, great answer. What would you like to ask the next guest?
I would like to ask them, what is the biggest way that you see yourself, your team, your company making change, real change for your target audience? What's the best way that you can take this service that you're providing and that you can create big waves, a lot of momentum in your industry, in your field? That's what I'd ask. What's the big dream for making an impact on your customer?
All right, it's a great question.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, so to wrap up the pod, where can people find your company?
You can find Elevate Ed on LinkedIn right now, and we are about to launch our official web app in 2 weeks. So stay tuned for that. Follow us on LinkedIn though. We'll be expanding to other socials here soon, but LinkedIn for right now.
Okay. All right. Thank you for coming on the podcast.
Thanks for having me. Yeah.
Awesome.
All right.
That was